guys, welcome back to my channel. So today I thought I would tell you a little bit about my labor and delivery story because it was definitely not what I was expecting. I am glad that things happened the way that they did. I did go in with an open mind because everyone kept telling me anything can happen. Don't set yourself up for disappointment by going in with a set mindset about how your labor is going to go. So let's begin with my expectations of labor, or like my birth plan. I didn't really fill one out for the nurses or anything. I didn't want to be like that specific, but I did have a birth plan in mind. I wanted to go as natural as possible. I didn't want an epidural, reason being because I have back issues and I felt like recovery could be a little tricky, but I wanted to go in with an open mind. I wasn't saying no to the epidural. I was saying I prefer not to be offered an epidural unless I request it, as well as other pain medications. I wanted to do delayed cord clamping. I wanted to do skin to skin, of course. At 39 weeks, I went into my doctor's appointment. Everything seemed fine, but my hands were swelling and blotchy and warm. Every time I went into the doctor, he noticed this as well, and he was kind of baffled by it because my blood pressure was fine. So he talked to me a little bit about the possibility of inducing. He was just concerned about the possibility of preeclampsia, but my blood pressure was fine, so he left it totally up to me. He told me to give him a call at the end of the week with my decision if I wanted to get induced on my due date. So after that, I went back home. My family was actually flying in from Puerto Rico, so I had a full house. They were here, obviously, to see the baby and to help out in any way they can, and I am very grateful to them. That being said, I started to try and get labor started naturally. I got some of that, what's that tea called? The tea that makes you contract. I started eating pineapple. We went to the shops so I could walk around, try and get labor started. And to be quite honest, all that week, I had contractions, and I was driving myself crazy because I was counting each and every one of them, but then I would go to sleep and they would go away. So I thought about inducing, talked to my husband about it. I felt like if the doctor was concerned for any reason and thought that I should be induced, I felt like I should trust that. Being induced doesn't take away from the fact that I can do a natural labor, and I know that I was progressing in some way or another. I was positive. I decided to trust the doctor on it, trust my instinct, and I gave him a call to be induced on my due date, which was December 23rd. So I got there really early at 8 a.m. to be induced. They hooked me up to the fetal monitor and they started me on Pitocin. The doctor came in and actually broke my water, but he didn't feel a pop, like he didn't feel anything gushing. I started progressing pretty quickly, I would say. At 2 centimeters on Pitocin, I started vomiting, and I was just, I had never experienced anything like that. So I asked the nurse if it was normal for me to be vomiting this much. I thought it might be the Pitocin, and she was like, it's not the Pitocin, it's the pain that's making you vomit. So even though I was hooked up to the fetal monitor, I was able to move around. I decided to be on my feet as much as I can. I was on the birthing ball, and my husband was really, really my rock. I felt like he was my focus point, as people say, for me to be able to get through those contractions. My mom was there as well. I was in a lot of pain. I was trying to get through the contractions, and I was vomiting as well. It was just a lot for me to take in. Hold on, she's crying. Sorry it took me a while to come back. She woke up and I've been with her for a while. Like I said, I was 2 centimeters dilated when I started vomiting. They were really painful. I felt like I found it hard to not tense up a lot. This may be a little bit TMI, but I felt like sitting on the toilet made them feel like less painful and more effective. So I did that for a little while, but then it just got way too intense. One of the nurses told me that moaning kind of like really low, like this, would help with the contraction. So every time a contraction would come, I would just establish one at a time. I would breathe in at the beginning of the contraction and then breathe out like, oh. I felt like it was a chorus for the longest time because my husband was doing it with me, and like it was so helpful for him to do it with me, I have to say. I feel like that was the only way that I could get through the pain. Just doing that and establishing at every contraction that it's one at a time. I quickly realized that the pain was way too much to bear, and I decided to get an epidural. They called the anesthesiologist, and then he came in examine my back. He then proceeded to tell me that I could get an epidural, but they would have to do, I believe, 3 x-rays. Because of the back conditions that I have, they needed to place the epidural higher than the epidural space, and then even then there was no way to guarantee that it would give me pain relief low enough down there. So I was in so much pain, and the fact that they had to do 3 x-rays for me to get the epidural, I was like, no, it's fine, no thank you. I walked in with an open mind about my labor. I had some preferences, but the situation changed, and after they told me that I could not get the epidural, I blanked out. I kind of spaced out for a while. I was trying to refocus, like, okay, what do I do? There is no way out from this pain right now. Like, I didn't want an epidural, and now that I decided to get one, it turns out that it is not possible for me to get one. And so I felt kind of trapped inside my own body because there was no pain relief. So there was still the option of narcotics, and I decided to get that type of pain relief because I don't know how I would have made it through the whole thing with the level of pain that I was feeling. After a little bit, I couldn't be on the birthing ball. I couldn't be standing, so I was just on the bed. I would flip positions. I would get on all fours sometimes. How do I explain the pain? It was a very painful tension, like my back would arch. My husband started applying pressure on my back, and then he started doing that with heat packs, and that helped so much. And it's funny because of the pain relief, the narcotics, in between contractions, even though it was a short amount of time in between contractions, I would fall asleep and I would have dreams. I would have conversations with my family, and I would start talking to my husband because I was half there and half not. I feel like my notion of time was just all over the place. I remember the doctor came in again and he checked me. I was 8 centimeters dilated, and everyone was, you know, very positive, like, you're progressing, and I was just half there and half not. And I just felt like, don't talk to me until I'm ready to push, because 8 centimeters is too far from 10, and that's, in my head, that's what it felt like. When the pain started getting really overwhelming, I would grab anyone that was within my reach. I would grab the nurses, and I would just stare at them. My eyes would be all bulgy, breathing through the contraction. At one time, I grabbed my husband, and I grabbed him by the jacket. I would just grab him like that. And I could see in his face that he wanted to laugh, but I was in so much pain that he didn't. But I could see it in his face that he wanted to laugh. I later confirmed it after it was all said and done, but I was just grabbing anyone that was within my reach. The pain was just so overwhelming. I remember feeling like I had to go to the bathroom. I had to poop. So I kept feeling I have to go to the bathroom. My husband's like, just go there. They'll clean you up. So I felt like I needed to push a little bit after the doctor left. So I kept saying, where's the doctor? She's right there. She's right there. I feel her. Where's the doctor? And by this time, the nurses are kind of scrambling to get everything ready. And they're like, don't push, don't push. Easier said than done. I had no control over my body. I felt like I was convulsing. So I was trying to prevent myself from pushing, and by doing that, I started dry heaving. I kind of felt like I was everywhere. I couldn't focus on one point. I was just trying to focus on not pushing because they kept telling me, don't push yet. I told my husband to hold my leg up, to not let go of my leg, because I feel like if he let go, I would squish her in between my legs. That's how it felt, like she was right there. So the doctor came in, and I see him like scrambling, and everyone's scrambling, and I'm just yelling, get her out, she's right there. And he's like, I know, I'm trying. They finally gave me the go for pushing, and I was just so exhausted. I felt like I didn't really push for that long, at least intentionally. My body had been pushing since 8 centimeters. I did feel the ring of fire and everything like that, but by that point, there were so many mixed emotions. Like, I had so many different kinds of pain that I can't really identify one from the other. And I could hear everyone like, I can see the head, and my eyes were closed because I was just pushing with all my might. I heard the sloppiness of something coming out, and I felt instant relief. And they placed her on me, and she was so tiny. She didn't cry right away. When she did, she sounded a little weak. So the doctor had my husband cut the umbilical cord. We didn't do the leg cord clamping, and the doctor was like, you had a dry birth. She's completely dry. Like, and she was. When I touched her, there was no liquid. at all. She was completely dry, and they took her just to make sure everything was fine. He told me that I had a 2nd-degree tear, showed me the placenta and everything, stitched me up, and when I finally had her in my arms, she was so tiny. I'm getting choked up. I need to get it together. She was super tiny. She weighed 5 pounds 9 ounces. I did not expect to have such a tiny baby. And she was looking at me, and she was just the best. It's just the best thing. I'm getting choked up, but it's, you know, I'm feeling emotional. In the end, I'm glad everything happened as it did. I know I wanted to go into labor naturally, but everything happens for a reason, and it turned out to be for the best. Overall, I'm just really happy with my experience. It was a little bit traumatizing, like I said, but I made it, and I have a healthy baby at the end, and that's what's important. So that was my labor and delivery story. I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and I hope I told the story well. I'm usually not a very good storyteller, so hopefully you got the gist of how things happened. Here we go. She's asleep right now. She's got the cutest dimples. If you guys follow me on Instagram, I posted a picture of her with all the details so you can see her better and all her cuteness. But her name is Isabel Natalia, and she is my little angel, my little peanut. That's all for this video. Thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you had fun with me. I hope you found this helpful, and if you have any particular questions, make sure to leave them in the comments down below. No llores. If you like this video, make sure to give it a thumbs up, subscribe to my channel if you haven't already, all the good stuff. Leave your comments down below. I'll make sure to answer as much as I can. And I will see you in my next one. Bye. Here is the bump. You see it? It's kind of low-ish.